everyone, TJ here. Today we're out at Copper taking a look at the Jones Aviator 2.0. And in this video, I'll go through all the tech you'll find in this board, and I'll share some feedback on how it's feeling out here on snow as well. Let's check it out. All right, guys, for reference, I weigh around 150 pounds, I'm 5'10", and I'm riding the Aviator 154 today. So this is gonna be an all mountain focused board on the Jones lineup, and it was designed in collaboration with their team rider, Victor De La Rue. So that might give you an idea on the type of terrain and the riding style that they had in mind when designing this board, as well as the personality we might find in it. It is a directional twin snowboard, so it has a directional outline with a slightly longer nose than tail outside the contact points to give you a little bit more surface area up front in soft snow. And it does run a true camber profile. So true positive camber, gonna be full camber from contact point to contact point, gonna come through with that more precise, energetic, and powerful feel that you'd expect out of full positive camber, especially with a board that is gonna be a little bit stiffer, like what I'm expecting out of the Aviator here today. The Aviator does have a lot of great tech built into it, and I think some things worth highlighting is the contour base. So outside the contact points on the nose and tail, you're gonna find a 3D shape in the base. It's kind of like a spoon shape in the nose and tail. So that's gonna give you a better glide through powder. It's gonna displace that soft snow more efficiently. And it's also gonna make things a little bit more catch-free and a little bit of a looser feel when you're really leaned into the nose or tail, or doing butters where you're far out on the nose or tail on hard packed snow. You're also gonna find their traction tech, which is some added points going down the side cut. It's gonna help isolate your weight and pressure along those contact points when you're on firm or icy snow. It's really gonna help bite down and give you more control and more grip when you are in that more firm or icy condition. So that's definitely a nice bonus to find in an all mountain focused board where you might be doing some exploring and riding through some variable terrain just to help keep you in control in those sketchy situations. And another cool thing you're gonna find in this board is actually a Koroyd cutout in the nose, which you can actually see like light come through the nose. I'll show a little overlay of that here real quick. But it's also gonna keep the weight down in the nose, so reducing the swing weight, making it a little bit easier to maneuver, and help with dampening as well. There's some dampening properties with that Koroyd material. So another pretty cool and pretty unique feature that you're gonna find here in the Aviator 2.0. I also wanna mention that this board is built with a triax fiberglass layup. So that's 3 directions of fiberglass. It's gonna overall give the board a more stable, responsive, and poppy feel to it. Also gonna help with dampening a little bit, give you a little bit more stability torsionally also, which is gonna help power through more variable or choppy terrain, help keep you in control in those situations, as well as a sintered base. So that's known to be a harder, faster, more durable base material compared to an extruded base. There's always a nice thing to see in these higher end snowboards. So that's gonna be it for a quick tech breakdown out here. We're gonna get these laps going and we'll check back in later to give some feedback on how this board's feeling. Let's get out there. All right, let's talk about the flex you're gonna find in this thing. So for the Aviator 2.0, I'd say you're gonna find a flex that's on the stiffer side of medium. It's a pretty sturdy snowboard. It's gonna offer some nice stability for just general resort exploring and more all mountain focused riding. Maybe getting into some steeper, more technical zones where that stability really comes in handy. And it's gonna have a solid feel cruising at higher speeds as well. This thing does come through with some nice stability. But on the flip side of that, if you're into flat ground and butter type tricks, that is gonna be a little bit more challenging. It's gonna be harder to find those balance points and just gonna be a little bit of a more advanced board for that kind of stuff. One thing I think you're gonna notice if you are doing butters on this snowboard is the spoon tech in the nose and tail. So that 3D contour you're gonna find in the tips as you're out there leaned into the nose or tail, sliding around on those tips of the snowboard. I think it's gonna give it a much more catch-free, smoother, more confident feel. But like I said, generally it's gonna be a little bit more challenging to get flex out of this snowboard. It does have a pretty precise feel to it, so you're gonna wanna watch your edges, and you are gonna be fighting against that traditional camber and that stiffer flex to get this board to bend how you want it to. You are gonna get some good energy and pop out of this snowboard though. That full traditional camber combined with the additives you're gonna find in this are gonna help really maximize the tension that you're able to load up in this snowboard and give it a nice snappy feel. It does take work to load up that tension in the board with the stiffer flex and fighting that camber profile, but it does give most of that energy back. So anytime you're trying to get this board in the air, it's gonna offer some extra boosts. Has a really good feel cruising around, hitting side hits, looking for natural features. And if you are taking this board in the park, it's gonna have a more advanced, precise feel to it. It's gonna be more jump leaning in my opinion, and has the stability that you need to hit the larger features, hitting those bigger jumps, bigger rails, gap on rails, that kind of stuff. You know, if you land a little back seat, it's gonna have some stability to help bring you back to flat rather than washing out, and can still be fun on the jibs, but it is a stiffer snowboard, so not gonna be as conducive to like presses and more technical rail tricks as you would find with a more softer jib focused board like the Tweaker on the Jones lineup. But overall, still gonna be a good time for park laps. It is a directional twin, but I found that it rides switch just fine for switch landings, you know, any trick where you're coming out fakie or like a 540, 180, all that kind of stuff. The one thing I would say you want to look out for the most is just that little bit longer nose outside the contact points, but I didn't really find that to be a big deal at all on jumps or rails. It has a pretty comfortable feel for freestyle type stuff, but just keep in mind it is a little bit stiffer and a little bit more of an advanced feel in the terrain park. I also want to talk about the carving experience on the Aviator. That was one of the areas that stood out to me on this thing. A couple of specs I want to throw out there is the waist width. So at a 154, you're going to find a 24.9 centimeter waist, as well as a side cut. You're going to get a 7.5 meter side cut. So as far as the width goes, this thing, I would say is actually a little bit narrow, definitely still very manageable, but not as wide as some other boards you might find in this size. So if you have a larger boot size, that's something you want to consider, maybe looking at a wide option of this snowboard to help eliminate any heel or toe drag you might get out of it. And it has a pretty average side cut, so 7.5 meters. It's gonna feel comfortable at a wide variety of speeds. And I found that this thing holds a mean edge. This is a board that you can lay over very confidently, throw your weight into it, know the board's gonna have your back. That camber, that stiffer flex, and the traction tech just give you a very confident feel, even as you're carving at higher speeds and really throwing your weight in this thing. So the traction tech, although it is a little bit mellower, I think is something that is pretty noticeable in the overall feel. And generally speaking, for carving, this board's gonna be a lot of fun, although it might be a little bit limited for like Euro carving and stuff like that if you do have a larger boot size. I was able to get a backcountry day on this as well, so quickly want to mention how it felt in powder and softer snow. The day I took it out there was a bit of a more variable day. There was some softer snow on top of some like chundery crust. And I'd say, you know, it does have the stability to power through that more variable snow and keep you in control even when it got a little bit chunky and unpredictable. And in the zones where the snow was softer and it was floating a little bit, the directional aspects of the board definitely do help compared to like a true twin, but not gonna be a powder specialist. You know, the main thing is just gonna be that directional nose, and the spoon tech are gonna help give it a little bit of a better feel. So I think, you know, for the overall versatility, it's just a general any day all mountain explorer that definitely could come in handy, but wouldn't be my first choice on the Jones lineup for a deeper day. Overall, the biggest highlights I found in the Aviator 2.0 is just the general versatility you're gonna get out of this snowboard, as well as the carving experience. If you're looking for something that's gonna be a good time all over the resort, whether you're exploring the alpine, getting in the trees, carving some groomers, or even doing some park laps, it's gonna be a good choice, something that comes through with some nice stability and a more precise feel that's still pretty freestyle friendly as well. So I'd say better suited for more experienced riders, definitely not gonna be a beginner or progression choice. You wanna have some hours under your belt before you commit to something with this level of precision, but definitely a very solid, versatile choice. So if you're looking for something like that, consider the Jones Aviator 2.0. I'm gonna have this snowboard linked down in the description below if you wanna read a little bit more about it. Leave any questions for me down there as well in the comments. I'll try to get back to you guys as quickly as I can. Appreciate all you guys for watching. Please drop a like if you got some value. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I'll see you guys in a new one next time. Take care, everybody.